Yeah, now stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball podcast.
What is going on? Welcome to another edition of Talking Basketball podcast. I am Mark.
Hello. I didn't even have a drink.
You didn't have a drink? Did you a bug fly in your mouth or something? What is
I
going
think
on
I'm a little
there?
under the weather, Mark.
Yeah,
A little under the weather.
you haven't caught your wife's plague, have you?
Possibly. No, I don't think so. Anyway.
That's all that smooching. No. Back for another edition. Thank you very much for listening. I think we should just get straight into it this week.
What are we talking about?
Well, you had a really good point to raise with all of these toing and froings about the 3 points off the line. So I just want to hear your view of it, really.
Yeah, so, I mean, I got this really good post that I found, which is you put me on the spot. I can't bloody find it now.
Wow.
Oh, here you go. Here you go. So again,
It's all down to a lot of people at the moment have been moaning about everyone's just basically jacking up threes.
well, no, they're talking about basketball, like attendance and views is going down, and this was highlighted again when the Chicago Bulls and the Charlotte Hornets on December 13th chucked up 75 missed threes.
Yep.
They did it once again on the 30th of December.
Yep.
So they've done it twice now. And people are saying what's going on with the game and stuff like that. You know, jacking up threes isn't entertaining when it's going on.
No.
Like when it's not going in. It's
No.
a brick, and you're just looking at it going.
It's exactly the same as, for those of you who watch multiple sports in the world of rugby, 2005 was, I think it was, the 2004, 2005, I can't remember now, but England won the Rugby World Cup, and Johnny Wilkinson
Drop kick.
was doing the drop kick. And when we were in school, if you kicked a ball, it was like, right, you're running laps for the rest of the thing, get out of my sight. It was completely frowned upon. As soon as he started doing that, the rest of the rugby world changed. And for probably 15 years, everyone was, as soon as they could, kicking the ball. And a lot of the fans there were like, this is a bit boring. But that game has sort of leveled out a bit, and people still go for the attack.
Yeah.
In the NBA, it's everyone just lives and dies by the three, and they just go by jack up as many as they. When you got a 7'1" player coming from being in a post, coming out on the 3-point line to pull up a three, you go, you're going from the shot you are probably 80% likely to hit, to a shot you're 30% likely to hit. Why are you doing that?
If I said to you, Larry Bird and 3-point shooting, what would you be thinking?
You think that he is like
Greatest of all time shooter.
Yeah, but I don't think
People are
his stats
jacking up more threes in a season than he did in his career.
Yeah.
And you look at it like that and go, well, he's arguably in the top 10, top 5, whatever the discussion is. He's up there, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, with people saying that about Larry.
And he didn't actually shoot that many threes.
No.
I mean, he won the 3-point competition, but again, people are starting to get bored of it. And you know what? I dislike this whole that. It drives me nuts though. Someone shoots a three and people on the bench stand up doing that, and then it's a brick. And you think, all right,
I'll raise you.
You look like an idiot.
I'll raise you. They've done that. Let's say they've done that. Like, they've thrown up 3 or 4 bricks, and then they hit one. And then they're like up there throwing it up.
I'll raise you, Mark.
And then you think,
I'll raise you again.
okay, yep.
I was coaching a game once.
Oh.
And I'm pretty good with keeping an eye on who's scoring what.
Modest.
This one guy, I'm not going to mention his name, he missed 9 threes. And I'm sitting there going, man,
9.
if he wasn't playing amazing defense, he's getting subbed. Like, after the foot, like, what's going on? I think we might have been short, and that's why he stayed in. The 10th three goes in. and everyone who's on the bench, anyone who's watching the game, and they're doing that whole with a 3, and I'm just like, congratulations, you've scored 3 points out of 30.
Yeah.
That's the way I looked at it.
1 out of 10.
And it just so happened that shot won us the game.
Of course it did.
But sorry, I'm only counting his 3s in like the second half.
Right, yeah.
Maybe it was late. I remember started going 0 for 1, 0 for 2, 0 for 3. And I was like, stop bloody shooting it.
And look, what has Steph Curry given people? It's not, a lot of people blame Steph. Yes, there's been a step change in the league, but look who is Steph's coach. Like Steve Kerr, well known for shooting a 3. But he didn't shoot loads, but he is well known for it. Dale Curry, his dad, well known for shooting big shots. So Steph isn't necessarily unique as in that. What Steph did was he'd started taking the shots way before the 3-point line, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like Steph was taking like the 3 points, like you're 3 steps back from it. Rather than someone just pulling up to the 3 and getting it, Steph's like just in from the halfway line, like putting something in like effortlessly. And because he's got such a quick, unique shot, it's like, what can you do about it, sort of thing. That is a really weird little clickety click coming from somewhere.
I don't know where it's coming from. I'll keep an eye on that. See where it's coming from. I know, like, how do you resolve it though? I'm not convinced you can resolve this issue unless there's a culture shift. And what I mean by that is, I heard JJ Redick talking the other day, and he was like literally going, get it inside, big man, dish it out 3, get the rebound, get it outside, shoot 3. And it's all like, hang on, this is just all to do with statistics. Like this is how you win a game, shooting loads of 3s.
Yeah.
Because you obviously get more points for 3s. And it's a percentage, it's a statistical calculation.
Yeah.
If we shoot enough 3s, we should win the game. And I know people have been talking about this 4-point shot.
Yeah.
Like having it halfway between the 3-point line and the halfway line. I think that's a terrible idea. I think that's going to, I don't know if this is a word, I think that's going to exacerbate the problem.
Yeah.
Because you're then going to get people going, right, I'm shooting, let's say people start shooting 34 pointers a game and they're like air balls and bricks. People are like, what? What we all want to see is someone drive into the hole and like, dunk it. And that's why the SLB is doing so well at the moment this year.
Yes,
because you've got all these young players,
energetic,
just driving to the hole and dunking over everyone.
They're passionate about it and they're taking the game to it, and that's what's really interesting about it. I think as well, you're saying about the 3-point line, and in terms of the 3-point line, wasn't it cutting it into off the corners as well? Wasn't that the other thing they were thinking of doing?
Yes, I know they're talking about taking
the corner bits.
So it's
because the corners
expanding
are actually
the arc.
Slightly shorter, aren't they?
Yeah, expanding the arc. Again, a lot of 3s. I don't know. A lot of 3s are being jacked up all over. There was a really interesting, I should have taken a picture of it, really interesting diagram of where people were, it was focusing on different teams and stuff like that, but there was one where it's saying, this is where teams shot, and you know where you have like little small lights?
Yeah.
And it's like, it was showing you where people were shooting shots throughout the season, and they were doing it for the whole team. And so many, like behind the 3-point was just like lit up.
Yeah, there's one. There's one that is. I want to say it's NBA Recapped. Shout out to them. I think they're on Instagram, and it's something that goes through on. What is it? This is before a certain period of time, and this is after a certain period of time, and it's basically where the shot data is. And what they showed was that you either basically have people pretty much in the dunk zone, or you have people on that outside edge. You're like, oh, really? And it's like there was no in between. So no one's taking a shot like a step in from the 3-point line. And who was famously did that? That was Jordan's shot, wasn't he? Like just inside.
But you would agree
there's like
that's a terrible shot. And nowadays you think, hang on, why don't you stay with, rather than that one step difference, there's a point difference.
So here's the thing. They said the shooting percentage hasn't improved over the years. So it's not that 3-point shooters have got any better. They're still like 30-ish%. Like I think like 33, 35% or something like that. So a 3 is roughly a 1 in 3 shot. That hasn't.
But again, if you throw enough up,
but that's it. That's the whole thing. If you throw that enough up, that's going to make a difference. But I just think it's interesting. They go, that's the stat, and you think, really? So that hasn't changed, and that's since I think it was the 90s when they started doing these records or whatever it was, and they said from then till now, the percent, we're jacking more up, but the actual, have they got better at shooting threes?
Yeah. So, but
no. And that's the funny thing. It's like, all these people are better at shooting
if
threes.
you listen to some of the NBA coaches, the more threes you jack up then.
Yeah.
But statistically,
yeah.
If I'm just going to mute you so we can see if it's that. The more threes that you jack up, I don't know what that is.
No. It's a mystery.
The more threes you jack up,
the
more points you're going to score then.
Yes. That's what they're basically saying.
But again, that's why I think that's why you're losing attendance. You're losing spectators and all that, because people are just like, you still want to watch. Yeah, if they all went in, you'd be going like, I can't stand.
Listen,
it just drives me nuts.
I said the game's turned into. I said on a thread somewhere a little while back that it was the game's turned into Moneyball, where it's all just about the jack up. It's the statistics of Moneyball. And a load of people, thumb up, heart, whatever it was. And they're like, oh, yeah, we all agree on it. And what's funny is that there's one guy went, it's not like Moneyball at all. Like, no, it's this. And the amount of people who jumped on this guy, like, no. Like, have you ever watched Moneyball? Like, this is 100% what it's about. It is just a statistical game.
Yeah.
But if you can shoot 10 shots from here and 10 shots from there, and you've got the same shooting percentage, you get more points shooting threes. Why would you that's it. That's all it comes down. There's nothing else. But what they're forgetting is the NBA is entertainment. And we've covered that a lot. When you go to an NBA game, you're not just going to watch a basketball game. You're going to be entertained.
For the show, yeah.
And if you've got someone now, go back and listen to Paul Porter, he even mentions it about the difference between when he does the commentary on the Lightning, Tampa Bay Lightning, as opposed to the basketball.
Yeah, he says it's a lot faster.
It's faster in the basketball because they'll be get the ball, inbound it, take 5 steps, take a shot, that's gone in, inbound it, takes 5 shots, that's gone in.
Mark, we've got to talk about that. Are you changing your name to Mark Ferguson after the Paul Porter interview? Mark
I can confirm nor deny that Mark Ferguson may or may not make a future appearance.
That's really cool.
That's great, and appreciate your time, Paul. That was very, very cool to have him on.
But look,
like I say, he said that the game now is so fast paced. He's been an announcer for 30 something years. He was doing it in Cleveland before, and the guy is experienced. So he's seen that game develop, and he's like, the speed of it now. And because everyone's jacking up threes, you've got so little time between possessions that it's just they're up for a 3
on the line.
Yeah,
that was one of the ones he says.
That's a shame, isn't it?
But I think the only way this is going to get resolved is by the young guys and a culture shift in basketball. A bit like,
should they have a 4-point shift?
No. Definitely don't have a 4-point line, because again, you're just gonna exaggerate the problem when people like Steph Curry is gonna go 4 points. I can score from there, sure.
Yeah.
And I get it if it's a 3-point game at the end and you think, it's 4-point play. You think, it's two possession play.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore. If you have a 4-point, I get that, but at the same time, it's like Steph Curry is going to be shooting 4-point shots all the time. And if he's 25%, you're just going to be watching people shoot from the halfway line. And then what do you do? We're going to have a 5-point shot if you do it in your own half. It's like, oh, come on. But that's what I was trying to find for you, Mark.
That changes the history, but basically. It's the same thing I said about the threes. Because if you look at the 3-pointers, all the stats beforehand, that's what makes Wilt Chamberlain and all those games almost more impressive, was that he had a 100-point game, and it was all basically layups, dunks, and free throws, because there was no 3-point line. So when you see those sort of stats, you go, damn, they were absolutely gunning to get 50-point games. It's not like when you see, and it's not to take away from like James Harden and any of those players who have massive, T-Mac did it. A lot of those guys have an arsenal of threes, twos, dunks, free throw, that they can do the lot. So, it's not tarnishing it in any way, but physically you are giving, when you added the 3-point line, there's a new mechanism to score and you're getting extra point. You literally are getting more points for taking a shot that is maybe a yard out. That's it. And when you look at it that way, you think,
Adam Silver said that the NBA is investigating the trend of increased 3-point attempts league-wide and that they are taking criticism of offenses being too similar seriously. Teams are averaging 37.5 3-point attempts a game this season, up from 15.8 in 2004 and 22.4 in 2014. So there you go. 20 years ago, you'd be getting roughly 15 threes thrown up per team. 10 years ago, it's 22. Now it's 37. I did have another picture, so I cannot.
So there was a good. When you're saying it on that, I do have a cure. I actually have a cure for it, and I'm stealing it from a player, but I cannot for the life of me think who it was. It's really going to annoy me. But I won't say, everyone's going to say one of the old heads, but one of the players, from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and someone was saying to them about what they can do, and they're like, well, they don't play D anymore. Like, let them play D. They wouldn't be jacking up 33s in our era. That wouldn't happen. Someone would have gone out there and put them on the floor, and they'll be like, I'm not doing that again.
I will say the NBA is starting to get quite physical. I don't think you can complain too much about the physicality.
No. Oh, that's what I'm saying. I'm not complaining about the physicality. What I'm saying is let them play D. And the reason is because what's the one bit of D you can't do now? It was a hand in the face. Can't do it anymore. It's the one bit of defense that at the moment the game is 100% stacked to an offensive player. If you're a defender, what really can you do? Unless you're a Wemby or Chet or Jonathan Isaacs, for example, they're all players who are really long and lanky, and they basically are shot blockers. Unless you're one of them, what are you doing on defense? Not really a lot.
Wow, you're slating a lot of people. You saying Chris Paul's not playing defense?
Yeah. Not in the way he could have. Not the way he could.
Wow.
I'll tell you.
Chris Paul slammed.
I'll tell you
by Mark Ferguson.
Yeah, you go after Mark Ferguson. That's Ferguson. If you want to see someone like more physical, go to Denver Nuggets, for example, and Aaron Gordon. He was a ferocious defender, and as defense has gone on longer, he's still a great defender, and he's good at locking players down and keeping them in a box. But not many people will go into the box where he's at. So it's like, it kind of takes away. It's this hero ball. It's this one-on-one ball now. What
they could do to resolve this? I just popped in my head. Just popped in my head.
People like Jay Morant and Edwards.
I could resolve this overnight.
Do it.
Like Trump. I'm going to sort this out in 24 hours, Mark.
24 hours.
Banish the 3-point line. Done.
Oh, no.
Banish it.
Can't do it.
Or extend the 3-point line into your own half. No, but look, in all seriousness, what happens if they remove the 3-point line? You're going back to the 80s. Is it 80s? When did it come in? 82, 83? That's something you would know.
No, 1980. It was the first year of Larry Bird and Matt Johnson. First year it came in. First season.
The game would completely change then, because people would be like, okay, we're going to go for the high percentage points for going inside.
Yep. And the first person to score a 3-point was a guy on the Celtics, I believe. But if you think about that, taking away that corner shot pretty much takes away at least half of those threes straight away. Realistically, if you take away those corner shots, there's a lot of people who sit and duck down that corner. I mean, look at Ray Allen. If that corner shot was taken away, his famous shot.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see.
Vince Carter hit a massive 3 for the Mavs years and years back. Massive 3. And that was going out of bounds, fade away. Well, when he hit that one, that would have been
one of the biggest ones recently would be Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, that'd have been a 2.
So
that
got them in the finals. I can't remember.
That was
that got them into the finals. I think.
I want to. Yes,
I can't remember.
That was the one that beat.
I can't remember. That was the huge one that stands out.
It was the one that beat Philly, wasn't it? I think it was. It was the one that beat Philly and put them in the finals. But honestly, like if you take away all of those shots, there's some big shots that you're talking about now. That really changes the game. And I don't, how are people going to react? Because then,
or could they move the 3-point back inside? Because they've been bringing it out and out and out for quite a while. For years, they've been right. It's going another step out. Remember? Could they put it back to the original 3-point line?
So that's the W.
Then you're going to be getting those.
That's the college and WNBA line, isn't it?
Maybe. I don't know.
If you're
going to be getting a lot of those shots again, but I don't know.
You get loads of them.
I wonder what would happen, in all seriousness, if the NBA removed the corner shot, or removed the 3-point line, or created a 4-point line. Would Europe jump? I'm curious if they would jump and go, okay, because you know what it's like. Anyone in England knows what I'm about to say when I'm talking about the key.
Yep.
So the key in America is
square.
It's a rectangle, yeah? The key in the UK was always like slanted like that. And then it was highlighted, well, hang on, that gives an unfair advantage to a player at the top.
Yeah.
And then they change it to that. Okay, that's easy saying that, but then that filters through all the courts, through all of the country.
Yep.
That was a big deal. And there's still...
That was a big deal.
And I would say when it gets to local league, they're so anal about it. So, no, you can't play any games. You need to have lines FIBA certified. It's like, come on, man, this is local league. But those changes that the NBA do could filter and be significant.
Yeah.
I wonder if we jump. I wonder if in Europe or the UK, whatever, we would jump and go, yeah, we're going to do the same thing.
I will be... I'll put the question out there then. If they adjust the 3-point line or adjust that in some way, my question is, what else? That's what it is. My question is, what else are they adjusting? That's my question. What else?
In the future? Yeah, that's what I said.
So, whenever... Look, Formula One, perfect example. We always come back to Formula One. It's kind of an interesting thing. But when Formula One make an engine rule change...
Oh, you said it was my phone, the signal.
Yes.
Oh.
When
you have it in your trousers.
By
the testicles.
Exactly. But that is boiling your testicles.
Wow.
You got 3 kids. You don't need more. But...
so always put your phone in your back pocket.
Yeah. And radioactively burn your anus instead. But if you think about rule changes, they don't just bring in one rule change. They bring in rule changes for everyone. And I don't know if I've shared this story before, but do you know what they did with Ferrari? Many, many years ago, for those who don't know, Formula One cars used to run V8 engines and V8 V10. V10 was the awesome one. That was the beautiful one.
I like the V9s.
Didn't do that. But they said, we're going to look after the planet and be a bit more responsible. So we're going to bring in, and originally it was going to be a V4 engine. Okay.
Yeah. Is this when it was really quiet and everyone's like, what?
Well, that was it. So they were going to bring in a V4 engine and it ended up being a V6. And the reason it was a V6 is because Ferrari turned around and said, in the history of Ferrari, we have never made a 4-cylinder car. We're not going to start now. We make V8s, V12s.
So what they do? So we're starting our own league.
Well, Ferrari said that we're going to leave. If you think Formula One
is Ferrari
with no Ferrari, it's like, bye. So they did that, and then Mercedes went, yeah, okay. Whereas Mercedes were pushing for a V4 because Mercedes make cars, vans, bikes that everyone uses, and they make 4-cylinder cars. So they're like, we've already got the technology. Ferrari like, we've never done that. We're not doing it. And the reason I'm saying this is because it's like, there's the big juggernaut in the room. Doesn't matter what everyone else is saying. It's like, well, what are Ferrari going to do? They say no, that rule got changed. But they brought in loads of other rules behind it. And you're like, ugh, okay. And it was like this fuel rate, this system, that type of aero, flooring. So my question is, if they do something back to basketball now for the 3-point line, what other rules are they going to change in the background?
If you look at the ref with your eyeballs, you are suspended for 10 games.
Well, funny enough, there was a great highlight. I don't know who shared it, but go check it out. You can't actually find stuff on social media these days. You notice that? I have to save stuff. Because if you see a clip and you go, oh, that was funny, you can't just go back and look it up another time.
I take pictures that's why I always look on my phone.
I just hit the little save thing on Instagram. Otherwise, you go like, that's gone in the ether. That you'll never see it again. But it was something about Jason Tatum, and it was how many times the ref have called him for a technical foul for like not doing anything.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That's a bit embarrassing.
And it is, and genuinely, you was mentioning about the refs. It's like that. He's like done things like they've gone and he's just bounced the ball, and they've gone technical foul, and you think this is getting a little silly now. Because why is it always the refs doing that sort of thing to one player? The same as that one guy used to do it with Chris Paul. It just seems a bit odd. I mean, we're going to talk about refs at some point, but like, I don't know. So my worry is that if they start messing around with the 3-point line, and that's been established now for a little while. Yes, they have moved it a few times, but ultimately it's kind of floated around that same area. They start changing that. What other rules are they going to change in the background that people don't look at? That because they can't just change one rule. If they're going to change one rule, I bet there's 4 or 5, and it'll be to do with the owners saying this is a way for us to get more money, and this is a way for us to do other things. So there is another lady. I can't remember, and I would look it up, and she's an avid Celtics fan, and I want to say her name is Magdalena, but she's connected with the Boston Celtics. Like I don't know if it's part ownership or something, but she's an absolute Celtics fan. And what's really interesting is she was even saying publicly how difficult it is for fans to follow NBA games. Because if you're outside of the Americas, you just buy a league pass, job done, there you go. But in America, they've got some games on Peacock, some games on Discovery, some on TNT, some on Amazon. And it's like you have to have like 4 subscriptions to watch all of them. And when you add it up, you go, hang on a minute, that's going to cost me like 400 quid a year or something just to watch the whole season for my team.
If you haven't got your basketball league, NBA league pass yet, hold on there. It's now going down by 50%.
Oh, has it? Or is it going?
Yeah, they're saying 50% now.
Oh, there we go.
So, right, this is the article that I was looking for. Hang on, I just got to dive for a second. Right, so this is what I forgot. The PBA, so this is the Filipino Basketball Association.
Oh, yeah, it's huge.
They are now introducing a 4-point shot 27 feet out.
That's worrying because Philippines
didn't the WNBA try it once? Wasn't it at an All-Star game or something like that? I'm sure
someone's done something at an All-Star game like that.
That rings a bell. Hang on, yeah. The WNBA All-Star game featured it in 2022.
Yeah.
It's used, the PBA has used a 4-point shot in 2 consecutive All-Star games as well. But this is the first conference the shot will be implemented in competitive play, shaking up the game in a way fans and players have never seen. So that's what they're going to do. They're all going to watch and see what happens.
Yeah.
But is that going to take away the 3-point attempt problem? No. It's just going to go, okay, we're going to do that and we're going to shoot a 4-point shot.
Yeah, it just means that you basically... That's why I say that I think the answer to it is defend. They've got to look at how people are allowed to defend. Because if you look at it that way, if someone can jack up a shot right near the halfway line, you want people to be out there being allowed to get their hand in their face and like just get up on them.
This is on ESPN. This is the most pointless quote you can have. So one of the Filipino board of governors, they went. He quoted saying, "Feeling Kong Yang, Bibi and Lao and Mipliang, Komang Zon." That's his quote. Brilliant.
Oh my!
That was his quote. They put it in Philippinese. Is that the right word? Philippinese? Thai. What? What is it?
Filipino.
Filipino. Is that the language? Is Filipino?
Yeah.
Yeah. They put it in Filipino.
From the Philippines. Yeah.
Chow mentioned this in an interview. What?
What did he mention? Yeah.
That's what he mentioned. It puts in brackets, defense.
Wow. Yeah, I think defense is key. I think that is the one that we have to look at, because I just players, if you are allowed to defend someone as not just aggressively, as all encompassing as you are allowed to attack now. If you've got a 4-point line or a 4-point spot or whatever they want to call it, my argument is all you're doing is you're giving it all to offensive players. So the same as what they did, was it 6 years ago, when Houston tried small ball, and I don't think they had anyone who was above 6'9". All their players, I mean, it's not small, is it? But they were calling it small ball, and everyone was a guard essentially, and they didn't have anyone who was a big center who was they just went away from that game completely. They didn't actually do very well then. So, and whereas famously before they had Yao Ming, who's 7'3", 7'4", whatever it is. So I don't know. I just think you have to, at the moment, it's so stacked for an offensive player. What is a defensive player really bringing to the game? Yeah,
look, if someone's lining up to shoot a 4-point shot, have it.
Yeah, because
I say have it.
But at the moment, you've got, someone says who's one of the best defensive players, you've got Rudy Gobert, who's not a good defensive player, regardless of what.
Rudy Gobert, Chris Paul, slammed.
Gobert's won 2 defensive player of the years, and none of the players are like, no, he shouldn't get that.
Wow.
Wemby outclassed him last year in every single stat, and he still didn't get the award. That seems odd. But you look at the main defensive players this year, and they're all basically someone who's long, who can get a ball, but they also can hit a 3. Whereas old-fashioned defensive players would be a guy who could break someone's nose and be a brick wall. Now, look, the game's changed. I'm not being an old fart saying, ugh, why can't they do this? And, there's nothing wrong with the game moving on. But all they've done is they've moved on the offensive part of the game. They haven't moved on defense. They haven't done that. And what tactics do coaches use now?
Every play, they can have a new rule, comes in with this 4-point shot. Every play, you're allowed 5 seconds where you can do anything. Every play. That's my 5 seconds.
No, because that'll turn into that. What's those horror films where it's like you have the one day where it's like The Purge?
Yeah.
It'd be like The Purge in basketball. So it's like, this is
you sub your best players.
30 seconds. Yeah, you sub your best players. It's like 30 seconds. It's basically turned into a brawl for all. Someone actually, joking aside, someone even mentioned that they should let people fight like hockey.
No.
And I don't agree with that at all.
It's a family sport. It's got a great, basketball's got one of the greatest cultures, community, spirit.
I know.
In all sports.
Yeah, I don't think...
It's not like you go to a football game. Like, you go to a football game, break his legs. That's what you'll hear, isn't it? Yep. Even at under 12s. Like, you don't get any of that in basketball. It's a great community. You start putting fights in it, I think you're going to lose that. So,
but that's why the 3 is, I want to say good, but it's also boring. There's no physicality. There's no physicality in the game.
Could they limit the amount of 3s you're allowed to take in a game?
That's another option, I think, generally. And if you can do that, do you limit it to how many 3s a player can make, or do you how many a team can make? Because if you've got someone like Steph, you go, I'd want Steph to take all the 3s because he's probably got a better percentage. But then if they know that brings in a tactic, which makes sense. So you might have solved it there, because if you think about it,
you're allowed 25 3s a game. 25
3s a game, that's your cap. And for example, well, they're going to give Steph a good levy on that because...
No,
so
have sentences. One, I don't know.
No.
I don't think you could go there, but... Yeah.
You could probably... Well, why not?
If you talk about Steph Curry...
You count team fouls.
Look at Steph Curry in the Olympics. How many shots did he... I know he had a good Olympics towards the end.
Towards the end.
He missed a lot of shots. He hit a lot of big shots in the end of the games, but he missed a lot. If you actually look at his... I don't know. I remember talking to you. Hang on, Steph Curry's missed loads of shots.
Steve Kerry.
Yeah, let's wrap this up, Mark. I think we've exhausted the topic. Right, let's end it with how are you going to resolve the problem? If it was up to you.
Mark
Ferguson.
Defensive rules need to be looked at. so that the defenders have a better. So you have a better chance of creating a strategy to stop a 3-point. That's.
Can you not stop it at the moment?
No. Everything at the moment is stacked to an offensive player. That defenders almost don't have a purpose, which is why everyone is like, oh, they're lazy. They're not. They just can only slow people down.
But they can play defense from the halfway line.
They can
slow people if they want.
They can slow people down at best. If you've got 5 players who can jack up a 3, you can't really stop it. You just have to slow down how many people, when someone can take a shot. And no one's playing full court press for the whole game. That's the only way you can stop it, realistically. It just is.
I am going to go for...
I like your counting numbers, personally. I think that's a great idea.
If I was at Adam Silver, I'd create a new cult. I'd try to push a culture where people like Anthony driving in and dunking it and Morant driving in and dunking it. They're the big, rather than this, standing up crap. That's what I'd base it on, trying to change in the culture. A bit like the shorts, where everyone's shorts went really stupidly long and then it was like...
Yep.
Then they're now working their way back up. I mean, cultures change. I
think you
push it a certain way.
You're hitting it on the nail. Culture is probably, arguably, basketball's one of the strongest sports to impact cultures, like generally. So the significance of impacting the culture would make a thing. And if you can get away from everyone want to hit the hero shot and do the like that. And, you could argue that someone like Kobe doing certain moves or Jordan did it and stuff, you go, yeah, but they brought a whole game, not just one shot. They brought everything to the table. And that's why they are legends. LeBron, you can look at that. That's why they're all going to be legends, because they didn't just have one shot in their pocket. They did a whole thing. And the NBA...
His last shot was a 3-point shot.
Yeah, but the NBA needs to be... but it will highlight every single thing. You don't say Kobe, you don't say 3-pointer. He hit loads of threes, but he also was one of the best dunkers in the league.
Yeah.
But people forget it.
I think what's going to happen is they're going to closely watch the Filipino League and see what happens. That's what they're going to see. See what happens.
Massive league, massive following.
Yeah. Right.
Let's wrap it. And so it's another edition of the Talking Basketball podcast. Thank you very much for listening. If you haven't gone and listened, check out. We've got 170 episodes out at the moment.
170.
170.
Wow.
Thank you for listening. I've been Mark.
I've been Paul. Hopefully we've not been too harsh on 3-pointers. It's a good part of the game.
It's not badminton, so it's a win.
Yeah.